What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Dangerous Brown. Good to see y'all back for a week. If you're a YouTube, if you're a YouTube listener and you're or watcher, I don't know. There's not really much point in watching this, but if you're on YouTube, I appreciate it. And you're like, how come the last week's episode is on YouTube? It isn't on YouTube. It's because I did the stand-up breakdown, and I wanted to focus on that and promote that, so I didn't want. My YouTube isn't big enough for me to post multiple times a week like that, and it would have siphoned away views from that. So whenever I post the stand-up breakdowns, the Dangerous Brown episodes will always be audio only until I can grow enough where it doesn't matter. But if you haven't checked out the stand-up breakdown on YouTube, on my YouTube page, subscribe. It's called, stand-up breakdown. I think it's called Steve Harvey is a Master Comedian or something like that. Just check it out on the YouTube. It is, I'm very proud of it. I'm going to do more of them as I go along. Sort of the whole point of the stand-up breakdown series is by the end of it to be a textbook for young comics to, when they get started, they can just watch all of those. So next episode's coming out soonish, It's not going to be like, every month or every week, because every episode takes a different amount of time to edit and record. I record episode 2 of Stand-Up Breakdown on Thursday, and then it goes into editing. I edit it myself, and I have to create graphics myself. And you saw the graphics. If you watched it, the graphics aren't bad. They get the job done. They tell you what you need, but I'm nowhere near any kind of a good animator and stuff. So they take me a while, and this one will have different graphics. So just look for that. The Stand-Up Breakdown, guys. Look for that. Look for it. That's the end of that. Look for it. Watch it. Let me know. It's at 200 views, I think, which is huge for me. That's more than I normally get, unless my mom is on an episode of this podcast. 200 views is pretty wild, so I appreciate the support. This is a Dr. Pepper diet that I'm drinking right now. I'm not doing this, for the benefit of y'all. I'm not doing this when I wake up. I actually had a bit of a day and was like, let me do this in the afternoon, So you don't get a yawny version of me, Because I realize it's very disrespectful to just yawn. You guys are listening to this, and I'm just like, whatever, So yeah, this is some afternoon brown for you. This is some morning brown. I appreciate it. I think I'll do the premiere. Because I had to delete the YouTube video. I'm gonna ask this question again for all you YouTube listeners. Would you rather this come out Wednesday morning? Like it does, it comes out midnight on Wednesday, I think my time, Central Time, or I guess Central Time, or would you rather me premiere it Tuesday night? So, there's a premiere going on and whatnot. Maybe I'll premiere it. We'll see. I'll premiere this one, and then you guys just in the comments afterwards tell me what you think and tell me if you like it. If not, we can just go back to the regular. It's not like such a big deal, where this has to be premiered, Certain episodes are good, certain episodes are whatever. Such as podcasting every week, especially when you're just talking to no one, dude. It's just me and Brody, dude. That's the energy. It's just me and Brody right here. This guy looking at me. This guy fucking just me and some guy who killed himself. That's the energy of this podcast. So you know what I mean? It's not every episode's gonna be a banger, dude. And Kumail's here as well. This is good. This is a interesting week. I spent the entire week. If you guys don't listen to the Big Humble podcast, go ahead and listen to that. It's my friend Matt Day Lockwood's podcast. He was here in Austin, and I spent the whole week just full court pressing, trying to get him to move. That's all I was doing. All I was doing was trying to get him to move, and it is what it was. It is what it was. I think we got him. I think Austin Comedy, I think we got a daddy. I think Matt Daddy Lockwood is going to move here. Really did the best we could to get him. Ate a lot of food. Oh, ate so much food. Terry Black's via 313. Just out here getting so full. So full. The Austin comedy scene is, I think there's some, first of all, there's something going on here. As much as, trust me when I say I have a lot of things to complain about this scene, and you guys listening know that I am a big complainer, but I think what's going on here is insane. People moving here at a crazy clip, just regular people, not just comics. A couple Saturdays ago, I think I mentioned it on here, but we had 6 sold out shows in a 3-mile radius, 4 sold out shows in the 2-block radius, with 2 of my shows being sold out, of my 45 being sold out in the Velveeta Room. Thank you for those of you who came into that. Then 1 in the Vulcan was sold out that night, and then 1 at the Creek was sold out. So it's 4 sold out shows, and those are all within a block of each other, a block or 2 blocks of each other. And then we had 2 shows at Spider House Ballroom sold out, which is like 2 miles away. So it is really, there is something special going on in Austin right now. And if you're a young comic who's listening to this, for sure check out the stand-up breakdowns and really consider what you want out of comedy. If you really want stand-up to be like, stand-up is my thing, then I think the move right now is Austin or New York. If I'm being honest, if you want stand-up to be your thing, like, sure, you want to act, sure, you want to write, but if you want the main thing to be stand-up, then those are the places you got to move. And I think, New York has industry. I think as Rogan Clubs opens, Austin will have industry as well. Now, if you want to use stand-up as an entryway, as your springboard to writing, to acting, to TV, to movies, then LA is still the place, I think. Is stand-up your rocket, or is stand-up your launching pad? That's what you got to ask yourself. And I think if it's your rocket, then if you're going to move to a big city, Austin or New York is the place to go. Also, we do live in a world now where, you could just live online and work on your craft that way. I see stand-ups. There's this one sort of bigger guy. I forgot his name. I don't know his name. I think he's from Wisconsin, because all his clips are from Comedy on State, somewhere in the Midwest, and he's just blowing up on TikTok. And I imagine because of that, he's able to sell out a few rooms here and there, and do that. So you can just become a clip guy from wherever you are and blow up in a way and become a headliner. It is interesting. Some of the, as someone who has a deeper knowledge of stand-up, it is interesting watching some of the clip guys who blow up and be like, damn. Like, some of them who blow up, you're like, oh, you can be a headliner. And some of the clip guys that blow up, they're gonna be like, it is like, I wonder what your 45 is really like. Is this sustainable for 45 minutes? And then some of the clip guys, you're like, oh, you started off as all jokes, and now you're just doing crowd work. So I think you might have burned your material too quickly. And then some of the clip guys are like, damn, you're definitely a headliner, and this is just the way you blew up already, Like, what I'm saying is, it is interesting to see, some people are blowing up when it's their time, and some people are blowing up maybe a little too early. And it's interesting to see if they can step up to the challenge, or, because TikTok is very different than the live performance. And this is coming from someone whose TikTok is terrible, and I have no movement in terms of my stand-up. So I'm not saying, even the ones who aren't ready, they're definitely not wrong for doing it. But it is interesting. It is interesting to see what level of TikTok comic can actually convert that into something big. Clip comedy, because it's a way to attack comedy. I'm personally not that type of guy yet. I don't have I would rather have my special filmed and then chop it up. I think when it comes time for my special, that is how I want to play it. So I'm not, I have some clips online, but barely any. And I think I'm going to stop posting jokes that I'll post jokes in Dangerous Brown format, which I haven't posted a clip of Dangerous Brown in forever, so I got to do that again. But, yeah. It is interesting just to see what happens, man. Just to see what happens. Because there's some TikTok comics, or people who are blowing up on TikTok, comedian Stephen Randolph, that I really believe in. And I think 45, he can make it. But there's some comics, like that guy I was talking about earlier, I don't remember his name, and it's like, your jokes are good, but they are one-liners. And it seems like you're a little newer in the game, so it's like, one-liner comics for 45 minutes, bro, that shit is hard. But maybe you can step up to it. I don't mean to sound too judgy or anything like that, but there are multiple ways to attack this game. And But I do think if you want to move to a hub and you love stand-up comedy is your vehicle and not your launching pad. Austin or New York is the way to go. New York probably more so because Austin's a big question mark right now. But I'm in Austin. I have to drink the Kool-Aid, and I really believe in the scene, and I do, and that's part of the reason why I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, because I'm like, damn, this is some fucking damn good Kool-Aid. Yo, this Kool-Aid fucking rips, dude. But I do think, especially once the Rogan Club opens, that Austin comedy is gonna be huge, dude. Huge. I cannot wait to see what that Rogan Club is about. I cannot wait. And yeah, that's why I'm starting the stand-up breakdown now. It's because the higher I move up in the Austin scene, the more I want to be like, well, what's a way to help young comics not in a way that are like, I gotta be there every day and talk to them, at open mics every day. Because as I go get up higher, I want to get busier, and I want to have a relationship or whatever. I changed my so I don't match a lot on Tinder out here. Like, Tinder in LA, I never matched a lot, but I would get matches. I would match a couple times a week with somebody. That's all I needed. Shoot my shot. I've shot a lot of shots on Tinder in LA, and I'm like Shaq at the free throw line. I think we said this before. It's just I miss pretty much all of them, but there are shots to be shot. Whereas here in Austin, I just don't match with anyone, which is interesting, because I definitely think I'm not like some paragon. I'm not like a super attractive guy. I feel like I'm an average looking guy. But I definitely dress better and I'm more confident now, but I still get less matches, which is interesting. And someone told me it's a race thing, so I changed my Tinder profile to great starter minority. So we'll see if that maybe loosens the idea up to some good old Southern belle to be like, oh, well, this is a good place to start, I won't kill your dad. He won't be happy, but I won't kill your dad if you brought me around. But yeah, dude. So yeah, I just believe in the Austin scene. I believe in the Austin scene, and I think big things are gonna happen out here. So if you're like a comedy tourist, I think once the Rogan Club opens, Austin is a place to visit. If you want to visit beforehand, you got to see Kill Tony and Death Squad and a Rogan show. If you can line all those up, that would be great. It's almost impossible to get tickets to a Rogan show because they sell out so quickly. Dude, Rogan shows are insane, and then you get to see some of the best comics in the world, bro. Like, these Rogan lineups, they're like, dude, like Derek Poston, Ron White, Tony Hinchcliffe, William Montgomery, Hans Kim, Genevieve Clinton. It's like, dog, this lineup is fucking amazing. And Rogan, obviously. I will say this. People really do shit on Rogan comedically. And I think it's because, one, the podcast and what he is from the podcast, and he makes people feel strongly. You know what I mean? And but I've worked at the Comedy Store. I'm in Austin now. I've seen this man for like 5 years. I mean, the dude is a straight up one of the greatest comedians. He does act outs in ways I've never seen anyone do act outs before. I think I might go over that if stand up breakdown becomes big enough. I might do a we need to talk about Rogan episode. And how it's interesting how this happens with Rogan, this happens with D'Elia. It's interesting how people feel about them outside of their comedy affects how they look at their comedy. It's a very interesting thing that happens. Now, I'll stay on D'Elia for a bit, because people who have seen D'Elia live, I know maybe some of the specials, maybe, if you've seen D'Elia live, and you walk away like, oh, this isn't one of the best comics working today, then you're just being a hater. I mean, there's no other way to say it. I mean, I've watched all these people live. I've watched so many comics live, and it's like D'Elia, especially Rogan. These guys are next level people. They're not just some unfunny dudes that because they say these things off stage, or maybe have done these things off stage, or whatever, or the popular thing is to hate them. You hate them, or you say they're not funny, but I'm talking about pure stand-up on skill. Skill on stage, stand-up on skill. skill on stage. Outside anything else, those two are some of the best, and it just is what it is. It just is what it is. Now, where you want to argue about them in the pantheon of great stand-up comics, that's a whole different story. But to say they're not like unbelievable, some of the like quite possibly best in the world, quite possibly top 10 active today, then you're not ready to have a real comedy conversation. It just is what it is. But yeah, I'm out here drinking the Kool-Aid of the Austin scene, and the Kool-Aid is Dr. Pepper Diet. Can you imagine if this podcast was sponsored by Dr. Pepper? Like this big ass company found this little ass podcast and was like, "Son, you got to drink a Dr. Pepper Diet." Austin comedy scene sponsored by Dr. Pepper Diet. Yeah. So that's what I'm, I've just been thinking about the comedy scene a lot. I've been thinking about ever since my 45, I've been thinking about my comedy. I did a weekend with Paul Verzi. Check out his special that will be coming out on a big platform soon. He'll make an announcement. But I featured for him this weekend. It was a great weekend. I was a little bit sad about my comedy. Not in terms of, I think I did well all 4 shows. Fourth show to me was probably one of the worst ones of the weekend, but I think I did well all 4 shows. And but I didn't take enough risks as I wanted as a feature. I started with the airport security material, which if you see me, that's my go-to opener for big sets. See, I'm not yawning. I'm just burping because of the Dr. Pepper, which is a lot more, I think, respectful than yawning. But it's a little safe, and I wish I got a little more unsafe with it, a little more, right? Okay, so here's what I mean. This is what I mean. This is what I'm working on outside of my official set. I'm trying to work on an opener about slavery, and because I don't think anyone, if I'm being honest, not a lot of slavery bits out there. And I'm talking about current slavery, like current 2022 slavery, not sex slave stuff, but like I may even get to that, but like regular like work slave stuff. And I don't think anyone has a bit about that. And Derek was telling me, my friend Derek was telling me that whenever he had a writing session with Schultz, and when they were breaking down their bits, Schultz kept asking him, "What's the purpose of this bit? What are you trying to say?" So now I have this bit that I'm working on about slavery, and I have jokes about slavery, and it's like, what am I trying to say about slavery? And I think my overall point being is that I think slavery is necessary. Right? It's one of those necessary evils. Was there ever a time in human history, like of civilized human history, from Mesopotamia to now, or whatever the first civilization was? I think in school I learned it was Mesopotamia. Were there ever not slaves? Right? I think there's always been slaves. I think they're sort of, necessary. There's slaves now. And I think that's what I want to talk about. That's what I want to open with. I want that to be my openers. Slavery is necessary, and we all are complicit in how necessary it is. Right? We all are complicit, right? So, the M&M famously changed the look of the green M&M. Right? And they made it like less sexual, which I've said this before. The new green M&M still totally fuckable. Leggings are still hot. Just because she's out of her hoe phase don't mean she can't get it, right? But they got, the company that makes M&Ms got a lot of flack because that same week they were on trial somewhere for child slavery, and people were like, why don't people care more about the child slavery? And the reality as to why people didn't care more, and I think this is true, is because if we cared about those child slaves, we'd have to start caring about all child slaves. And in theory, it would be nice to give a shit about that because it's obviously terrible. But on the other hand, I like stuff. And so I, like many of you, choose to look the other way. We're not really fighting for it. In fact, if I clip this, you're watching this on a device made by child slaves. So it's like, you know what I mean? There's a weird sort of necessity to it, to our everyday lives. We're wearing clothes, a lot of them made by child slaves. There's just intricate hands, that they're intricate parts to your phone that their tiny little hands are probably a little better for making. It's just better. It's just better. They can just, you know, in Schindler's List, the tiny hands can clean out the bullets a little better. Or something like that. If you remember Schindler's List, there's a point where he defends a child and wants him to be a, quote, slave for him because of his tiny hands. And that's real. But yo, it's a necessary evil. What, are we going to pay everyone equally? Pay everyone what they should be worth? Because that's the other thing we can do. We can pay everyone what they should be worth. But the problem is, the second one person gets paid not what they should be worth, then there's going to be a whole lot of people that don't get paid what they should be worth. And at the end of the day, it's going to lead to slavery on some end. I think slavery is a necessary thing. And I think what you pray and hope for is that, man, I hope I'm not born a slave or become a slave. That's all you can do. When it comes to slavery, all you can do is that you can hope to roll the dice roll of fate. And hope you don't end up as a slave. That is the best you can do. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? That's the best you can do. I guess you can spend your time fighting it, but it seems like a useless fight. Maybe that's not the right way to look at it, but it seems like, yo, slavery is necessary, dog. Isn't that wild? Isn't that wild? To make the world go round. Whatever device you're listening to this on, through your phone, through your car, on your computer, there is some kid who will never know, like, freedom. That's the cost of everything. Is somebody else's freedom. Hilarious. Hilarious, dude. That's why, bro, you can't judge other people. You can't judge the past on on today's morality. That's not how that works. You can't judge the past on today's morality. Life doesn't work like that. You know what was a sobering moment that for me, and I really put, like, if I had my personality, but I was a white guy in 1930, blue eyes, 1930s Germany, with my personality, I would probably be a Nazi. Right? It's just because that's the role of fate that put me in. I mean, it was a pretty sobering realization, but I would definitely be. Me, for sure. My personality, bro. I played Pokemon Go and it had 2 fidget spinners. Why the fuck wouldn't I be a Nazi if that was the thing to be? If that was the trend at the place I lived in, bro, I would absolutely do that. I'm not saying it's I'm not saying I want to be. I'm just saying I'm honest with myself and who I am and where fate has placed me in life. I'm in no way a Nazi now. That's the furthest thing. In fact, I look at Nazis, current day Nazis, and people who have fidget spinners in the same way. It's like, wow, I guess you guys are virgins. That's how I look. If you're a Nazi or have a fidget spinner, I think you're a virgin at this point. But I remember the Charlottesville rally. It looked like they were protesting dry dicks. That's what it looked like they were protesting. When I first saw the videos on mute and the pictures, I was like, oh, this must be a dry dick protest. That's why it's all these dudes. Then I heard there was like some Nazi element to it. It's like, what are they not seeing? Some bitches? That's what they're not seeing. Well, bro, you cannot judge past people on today's morality, because you weren't there. You don't. What would you truly do? What would you truly do? How susceptible are you to following? How susceptible are you to following the trend, really? Person with a TikTok account. How susceptible are you to following the trend of the things around you? Oh, fuck the founding father. They had slaves. Yeah, but so do you. Yours is just over there and you don't own them directly. You just own their products. I'm not saying they were good people. I'm just saying there were people who you, given the same situation, might have made the same choices. You, given the same set of rules that they were given, would have maybe made the same choices. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I don't know what the overall point is, because it makes it. I feel like I'm going off as pro-Nazi, which I'm definitely not. You know, I would definitely not be pro-loser like that. But yeah, I guess the overall. I guess the overall point is that slavery is necessary. That's what it comes back to. Is like, dude, that shit is crazy how necessary it is for like life to function, dude. At any point, if any civilization, like global system, got rid of their slaves, how fast everything would crumble. How fast would America crumble if Nike and anyone who made clothes were like, nah, man, and Apple were like, we're gonna pay our everyone what they should get, a living wage. How fast would civilization crumble? I think pretty quickly. Maybe not. Maybe we would adapt. Oh, bro, hell yeah. I'm gonna save. I got a perfect photo for Tinder. I'm gonna use, because everyone has like fake fish, like everyone has like photos where they catch fish, especially dudes. You know, it's a very big dude thing. But I'm gonna pretend I caught a fish, but it's gonna be a emoji. Hold on. You know, I could just do this later. I could do this later. Or I could do this now. Here, I'm going to do this now, and I'm going to post the picture. What are we, like 26 minutes in? I'm going to post the picture. Hold on, so you guys can see it. Do some editing here. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Boo. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do. This is me editing on my phone, but I don't want this to be a video. Fuck. Damn it. All right, I fucked up. Here we go. So it's me. I'm holding nothing in the air, and I'm gonna add an emoji of a fish to make it look like, I was fishing, because every dude does have a picture of like him holding a fish, and I'll put, boom. All right. Boom. Okay, and I'm adding that to my Tinder account right now, and let's see if that helps. Just like, hey, I'm a fun guy. You know what I mean? I'm one of those fun guys. Allow access to all photos. Upload photo. Recent. Boom. Done. All right. Let's see how that works. Gonna add it to all. This is me live updating all my dating apps for you guys right now. All three. Bumble. Let's add to Bumble. Do spotlight profile. Edit profile. Cancel. Delete photo. Let's add upload photo here. Boom. Okay. And I don't know, I'm going to add it to my Salams, my Muslim dating app, the Minder, if you heard my act before. I used to do really well on there, but now I just, you know what's funny? I've lost my mojo on the dating apps. Choose. All right. Boom. Okay. So we saw that 26 minutes in. I'll add the photo at this point. When I edit, I'll be like, okay, this is the photo I was talking about. But yeah. Slavery is necessary, dog. That's a big lesson we should take away from this. And I think we should remember that. Whenever we get high and mighty about how much we're better than the past, we're not that much better. We just can feel more superior to past Americans, especially because our slaves aren't here. And there's less of a racial element to it. Like, obviously, we have slaves in China, but we have slaves in India. It's more about poor developing countries. More so than just, like, let's see. I will say this. American slavery is its own brand of brutalness. Most slaves are like spoils of war throughout history. It's very rare that they go to another country just to import slaves and make it like a business. Like the Dutch East India Trading Company was worth like over $1 trillion in market cap way back when, and part of their thing was transporting slaves. Like, I will say that the 1800 African slave trade, I think, is in a league of its own in terms of brutalness and inhumaneness of it. You know, you can sort of weirdly justify taking slaves as spoils as war more so because it is a war spoil than what we did and what Europe did to Africa. But you know, it's all bad. But I will say this: the North American slave trade was especially brutal, I would say. And that's why people are like, oh, slavery was a long time ago, get over it. It's like, no, slavery wasn't a long time ago. It's always happening. There's always reminders of it. Yeah, can you imagine, dude, the first person to ever come up with the concept of slaves? Just like, bro, we can just force people to work for no money. We can save the money. We could save the money on labor by just forcing people to work for nothing. And people must have looked at him like he was a genius, dude. A Mesopotamian Steve Jobs. That's how much they would have looked at him, dude. That's what they would have looked, just this innovator. He would go out to a public gathering in a turtleneck and just be like, yo, this is the Slave 13X Pro. Now comes with bigger muscles, more breathable, front-facing camera. 4K front-facing camera. The Slave 13X Pro. Dude. Amazing. We don't have to pay this guy $20. We can keep... You know what's funny? It's like, that's how probably little the thought of slavery came in. Was like some owner of land just didn't even want to pay $20 for labor. It was like, dude, let's just force people. Bro, it's crazy how much people will fuck over other human beings for $20. It's pretty insane. That's why I'm not a fan of Tubman being on the 20. I think I've said this before, but nah. Don't put Harriet Tubman on the 20. This lady fought her entire life against slavery, and now you're going to put her on a $20 bill, slavery's mascot? Get out of here. Get out of here. Why do we have to have serious people on money? Can't we have fun people on money? Put Flavor Flav on the 5. What are we doing? What do you mean? I gotta have Alexander Hamilton when I pay for Pop-Tarts for breakfast? Get out of here, dude. Let's put fun people on money. It's always like these stuffy leaders. Dude. The 5-pound note should be Peppa Pig. Like, what are we doing? Why don't we have fun money? That's the thing about money, is that we all have to pretend that it's serious, dude. It's not that serious. I mean, it's everything, but also, like, if the people up top are just gonna be fucking over middle class people constantly, and the poor, and especially poor people, at least let the money be fun. Let whatever money we have be like super fun. Get out of here. Dude, they're fucking the middle class so hard right now. It's insane. Gas is like $5 a gallon, and then now Biden was like, we gotta end this work from home and go back to offices. Yeah, why? So people can spend more money for less than a living wage to get there now? Like, what? $5 a gallon per gas. So that means if making minimum wage in some of these places where minimum wage is $7, like a full days of work doesn't even cover gas sometimes. What? Or full days of work covers mostly gas, some food, and none of your rent, which is also going up. God forbid. God, my rent is going up so much. Like $200. But, Texans, we don't want Californians here bringing their liberal ideas like rent control. I think I said that last week. God damn, dude. They want us to go. Why? What, what a lot of work can go back to. And you know what they should do to those commercial units that aren't used anymore? Make that affordable housing for people, huh? Let people live. Or what's going to happen is these companies are going to make these people slaves. Like, bro, dude, there's going to be like Amazon towns in a few years. There's going to be like Amazon towns, bro. It's like the whole town works at the thing. They only can spend money. They get paid in Amazon bucks, so they can only spend money in Amazon stores. With either food all through Amazon, dude, and everyone will just be an Amazon slave. And what you're doing right now, if you're a millennial, is that you're trying to position yourself so your kids in the future can be prime slaves. You want some prime slaves over some over some just regular bitch ass Amazon slaves. You want your kids to be prime slaves. That's what you're aiming for. It's coming for us, dude. It's coming for us. It always, eventually China's gonna become too advanced to be the slaves, and dude, what goes around comes around. It's definitely coming back for us. You think slavery is done for America? Dude, get out of here. Get out of here. If they could right now, if your company right now could make you a slave, they would absolutely take that opportunity. Don't even think that they give a shit about you. In a heartbeat, they would make it happen. If they were like, slaves are legal right now, your company would be like, well, I guess you're a slave. It's just a necessary evil of life, dude. It's wild. It's wild. I watched The Batman, he said with a cool segue. Do we like it? I liked it. You know what? I will say this. We'll talk about this later because I know it's been the first weekend and a lot of people might not want to see Batman opening week, especially, because of past events, By that, of course, I mean The Dark Knight Rises being a little disappointing, or Batman vs. Superman being super disappointing. So I get why you wanted to wait a little bit to see Batman. I can't think of any other reason why you wouldn't want to see Batman on opening week. I mean, it just doesn't cross my mind. I'm racing through my thoughts and stuff that happened, and there's nothing bad has happened at a Batman showing at a movie theater opening week in America. So, but I know some of you are a little like, maybe I don't want to go because Batman vs. Superman was so disappointing, and that's probably the only thing that was on your mind when you were thinking Batman opening week in theaters. And so, we'll talk about it later. I'm still formulating my thoughts on it. I might go watch it one more time. I don't know. I will say this: it is 3 hours long. It is 3 hours long. So if you go, just so you know, it's like you're spending most of your morning, afternoon, or night. That's your whole section of the day. So plan accordingly. But yeah, what else is going on in my life? I have a car issue. I thought so. Maybe one of you. I'm gonna take it to the mechanic Friday, but maybe one of you can answer this question. So what's going on? So when I brake, sometimes almost the whole time when I'm backing up. But when I brake, sometimes when I'm going forward, my car will sort of groan. It'll make like a sort of groaning, banging noise. It's not really a grinding. It's like maybe a little bit of a grinding, but it's pretty loud. It'll make like a I don't know how to describe it. It's like metal. It's like metal moving against each other. That's what it sounds like. And I thought it was the brake pads. I replaced my brake pads. I replaced everything. I got the brake fluid flushed or whatever. Still going on. A part of me thinks it's either debris somewhere in the brake pads because someone stole my hubcaps a while ago. Some junkie, just making a pure junkie move, stole my hubcaps thinking maybe he can flip some for money for heroin. For sure, that's what happened. Like, I don't know what's happened, but I can tell you 100% that's what happened. And so there's probably more dirt being able to get into the system. And so maybe that just needs to be cleaned out. Or there's something up with my suspension. I think that's one of the two. If there's any car guys, let me know what you think. Maybe if I can get an idea of what you guys could be before I go to the mechanic. That way I can tell my mechanic, like, hey, here's what I think it is. That way they don't try to fuck me on something. You know what I mean? Like, they don't try to, like, hey, you're in Texas, guy with California plates. Let's see how much we can swindle you for. So that's what's going on in my car. I'm taking that to mechanic Friday. So that should be fun. I'm thinking of starting a Austin Codenames League. I don't know if you've ever played the board game Codenames. If you look through my gaming thing, I haven't posted a lot of gaming clips on YouTube at all. But if you look through my gaming things, you'll see a Codenames game I played, and it's a really fun game to watch people play. So I might try to create a league in Austin at Austin Comics, 3-person league, and try to do. I don't know if you've ever watched the Dozens trivia on Barstool, but try to come up with something like the Dozens trivia. You know? I think that could be fun. And so I'm going to try that. I have an idea for a sketch I want to do. I got to talk to Trey and Derek to see if it was maybe one of their sketch ideas. But, things are going well. Things are going well. I didn't mean this whole time to be talking about slavery, but it is what's on my mind. And a lot of these stuff you hear, if you see me on stage, a lot of the stuff you heard today will be in my act, I think. I want that to be an opening. I think it's such a strong and crazy opening that people be like, damn, I can't believe he did that. I can't believe that he said slavery is necessary. And that's how he opened, dude. How crazy of that. That's just a banger. Just like, bro, this is what I think about. Dude, I think about it so much. You know what got me thinking about it? I watched the movie Lion, and if you've never seen Lion, it's about this kid who grows up in an Indian slum and somehow gets adopted by an Asian family, and he has an Australian family, and then he figures out, like, his past and, like, the crazy slum world he grew up in, and it's like, bro, dude, that could have been me. I was one dice roll of fate away from being me. And then it really got me thinking, like, bro, fate is wild. What I rolled, bro, I rolled something great. I rolled double sixes. And that's what got me thinking about, like, bro, I could have been born a slave. I could have been born, like, in poverty. I could have been a poverty person. One of those gross people. One of those disgusting people. Fucking Mexicans. No. I don't know why I've decided on this podcast to shit on Mexicans, but they deserve it. Yeah, I don't know. So I just think about that all the time. And, that got me thinking, like, man, what if I was born a slave? And it's like, oh, thank God I wasn't born in, like, 1880s America. Or, like, not in the 1880s. Slavery was done by then. But, like, 1820s America, thank God. And then I was like, oh, bro. Thank God I wasn't born as, like, a Chinese factory worker now. Bangladeshi factory worker now. There's a great chance that a distant relative of mine is just making iPhones until he kills himself at 13. There is a good chance that that's just one of my relatives. And I'm just here being like, hey, look at this Tinder pro picture I have now. This Tinder picture I'm about to show you. Yo, what, dude? Fate is crazy. Fate is next level, dude. Fate is some next level shit. And, and then it got me thinking how much I benefit from slave labor, dude. I benefit from slave labor. And so do you. And there is nothing I'm going to do to stop it. And unless you're one of these bleeding heart, like, really care about humanity in a deep, fundamental way that I respect it if you do, but most likely there's nothing you're going to do to stop it. Nothing. And you should live with that. And laugh at it, because it's hilarious. It is funny. Every time I bring it up, people look at me like I'm the bad guy. It's so funny, but, it's true. I guess just because pointing it out makes a bad guy, because if you point it out, you can't live, like, blissful. You can just be like, because if someone goes like, what do you think about slavery? You can be bad, and you can be like, it's bad. And if they ask you, would you ever, partake in owning slaves? And you'll be like, no, I would never own slaves or whatever, even though it's like everything you have is made by slaves. So don't you basically own, like, I guess these companies own slaves, but you're paying these companies for slave labor. So, and it's just, but it's also, the reality is, like, what are you going to do? Not have stuff? You can't live life without stuff. You have to have stuff. There's no way. You can't go through life with no stuff. Unless you're Jesus, you gotta have stuff. And even Jesus had clothes. You gotta have stuff. So what are you gonna do? Fight the system? You can't fight the whole system. You can change the system a little bit. You can tweak it. But the whole system, that takes like effort through multiple people over decades to change a system. And even then, whatever new system they have is every system that's set up is going to exploit somebody. You're not going to have there is no system in the world where there's going to be haves and have-nots. No system. Well, you could be like, oh, maybe communism where everyone shares the resources equally. Maybe there'll be no, there will always be, because to leave a capitalist society to a communist society, someone is going to take power and realize, oh, I should just have all the power. Like, oh, we can just split everything up equally. Yeah, but to do that, someone has to own it first to split it up equally in the way our system works. There's no way everyone's just going to agree to share everything equally. You know what I mean? It's like whatever system is next, there will be haves, there will be have-nots. And this is a podcast for the haves, dude. This is a podcast for the haves. Even if you don't have as much as more of the haves, bro, you a have. You listen to this podcast, you a have. You ain't a have-not. And appreciate that. Because they're coming for the haves, dude. Maybe not you, but your children, they're going to be some prime slaves, dog. Your children's children, prime slaves. Book it, dude. I'm calling it right now. Slavery's coming back for America, dog. Why? Because it's necessary. And that's the overall point I'm trying to make this episode. Slavery is necessary. I love you guys. Love you, infidels. I'll see you next week. You'll get an update on the second stand-up breakdown. I'll tell you how far I've gotten. But outside of that, guys, I love y'all, and I'll see you all soon. Peace in the Middle East. Bye.